Good afternoon, audience, and also really would like to welcome a very, very special guest, someone that we don't know that well. Probably we do because we had some time to work with her last term, and that was her first time in the school. We've been very lucky. I mean, she started off as a student and now she's a teacher, and that's none other than Maryanne. So we've got a photo displayed at the back as well. And Maryanne actually did send me two photos, and she said, "I'll be happy if you display that one." Guess what? I'm going to display both of them. I'll be happy if you speak about that one first and tell us a bit about yourself as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And as I said, you've said that you're lucky. I honestly feel so lucky to have gotten my placement at AIA, and then even luckier to have received the opportunity to now be a teacher. So thank you so much for having me. And yeah, so I'm happy for both photos, but I figured this one might be a little bit more interesting. And I coincidentally kind of matched to my outfit to my previous self today. So yeah, this first picture was actually taken in my backyard back in Doonside. So I was myself was born in Australia, but both my parents migrated here. So my mother's from the Philippines, my dad from Croatia, and they honestly were that same story of had nothing and built essentially everything that I'm able to enjoy, and yeah, that they have that they built it, yeah, from the ground up. So I couldn't be more proud of them. Everything I am today is I owe to them. And yeah, this was one of our the humble beginnings of that, which was basically this rundown house in Doonside, and Mum would carry me around in a basket so that yeah, wherever she went I could be, and she could always take care of me. So
Well,
yeah.
such an interesting mix, as you said. I mean, Croatia, one part of Europe, and then you've got the other part of Asia, and
Yeah.
that's Philippines. So yeah, what an interesting mix. I'm assuming they actually met in Australia.
Yeah, no, they met actually working in a factory. So yeah, they met here because, again, even though my mum was perfectly qualified before coming to Australia, it was the only job she could get. And similarly, my dad, and they met from there. And yeah, it was, I don't know if we'd say love at first sight. If anything, I think my mum was warned by her aunt to stay away from that one because, yeah, he's a bit cheeky, but yeah. What
You
can
know,
I say? It
initially
worked
when
out.
I looked at your photo, going back to your photo, I was about to say this.
Mhm.
I must say, it looked like that shopping basket that you pick up from when you're going shopping. But then I realized it's actually the clothing basket.
Yeah, no, it's a washing basket because, as I said, yeah, both my parents, when they moved here, all of our family lives overseas. So, like, my grandmother did come, when I was first born and everything. But a lot of the time, my parents, they kind of had to figure things out on their own. And yeah, in terms of them both working full time, that often meant that, like, if my mum had to take me places, it was in this washing basket so that I didn't get into too much trouble. But it also this was my pseudo sort of daycare, which was this washing basket. Yeah.
And it's always interesting, definitely we all like those stories, and I'm sure like all of us when we came, the people who definitely migrated, they all had humble beginnings. I mean, no one came with a massive house, a massive car. They all started from the scratch to give a good life to their children. I mean, I have a very similar story as well.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's such a relatable story, I think, and it's one that I personally can't imagine like what it's like, because I've been so privileged to grow up in this like wonderful environment and have my parents who've given me like the best start possible. So yeah, it's honestly kudos to them and anyone else who's able to make a life for themselves somewhere else. It's such a like it's very relatable, but it doesn't make it any less inspiring, honestly.
That's true, and that's why we're more grateful than the younger generation.
Mm,
And yeah, I mean, it makes us really grateful of what we have and what we don't.
mm, absolutely.
What is something that you always wanted to learn? Tell us that.
Definitely. I would love to learn more languages. So at the moment, I have my minor in French. So I've been going into that definitely. I started in high school and then continued through to university. but I would love to be able to be completely fluent in my parents' languages, so Tagalog and Croatian. I have attempted to learn both. My mother was a bit more forthcoming with it when I was growing up. And then with Croatian, I started to pursue that when I was at university. And very difficult language, but I would love to be able to be fluent in both of those languages at least, so that I can really, like, I do speak to a lot of my relatives, but it would be nice to be able to really converse with them in a language that's more familiar.
Which one's more easy, Tagalog or Croatian?
I'd have to say probably, it's funny because they're both foreign in their own concepts, in that, like, I think maybe Tagalog, I think, is easier because, I don't know, maybe it's just my mum telling me that, oh, Tagalog's easy, you'll be able to learn this. And I've picked up a lot more of it growing up, definitely. So Tagalog has been, I guess, a bit more easier to learn. I think the intimidating thing about Croatian is there are so many grammatical rules and so many shifts. And if anyone's ever learned a language that has, like, I suppose, like, gendered words, and then also having those words change depending on, like, the different tenses and everything, depending on where it is in the sentence, which I'm not very familiar with Arabic, but I've actually heard there's different forms, right, for different, like, say, letters, and depending on where they are, and it's a very similar concept, and it's a lot. And I think I'm very lucky in terms of English to at least know that, because it again varies and the pronunciation is so inconsistent. It's something similar to that. I think it's even with Croatian, it's quite tricky. But
yeah, look, you're right. I mean, there's so many grammatical rules as well. And but if you do speak Arabic on a level of communal level, you probably don't need that much grammar, because then you have dialects, how the words are
yes.
said. But when you really want to go explore the language and actually learn it to understand the ancient text, then definitely, I mean, those dialects are really not going to help you.
Yeah.
Because then you probably do need more more grammatical and more knowledge in that language. But yeah, Arabic, even in communal sense, is not very easy to speak again, because the
Yeah.
dialects, how they vary as well, because Arabic's actually one of the fifth or the sixth largest spoken language, because predominantly all South Asian, not South, Middle Eastern, and also North African countries speak
Right.
this
Yeah.
language. So we've got all North African countries. I mean, Morocco, Algeria, Egypt, Sudan, and all these countries actually they speak this language as their first language.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I would like, and I think, suppose, going off that track as well, at my time at AIA, it would be nice to learn some Arabic. I've had already shout out to Basma for teaching me, but yeah, I've already tried to be inquisitive about certain things, and like, again, like, languages is something that I honestly think it's so important for us to be able to expand from our initial language that we learn, because it really helps, I think, drive empathy in people, but also just it's nice to be able to show an effort, even if it's not your native language. It's nice to be able to see that you're trying to at least communicate with someone in a way that's more personal to them. At the very least, I think assuming, like, people speak English it can be quite I'm not a fan. Just to put it lightly, I think it's nice for us to be able to try and learn beyond what we know.
I think I can tell you what, English is a very easy language, because
Yeah.
I spoke English as not my first language. So
Ooh.
I do know it's a very easy language, because I
Yeah.
migrated to UK at an old age. So I was in my late primary, so 4 or 5, when I was in 4th or 5th grade.
Right. Yeah.
So I can tell you it's a very easy language. I mean, you can probably hear me speak. So
I mean, exactly. No, I think my dad actually, he came. So both my parents, my mother knew English prior to coming to Australia, because they teach it in the education system over in the Philippines. But my dad knew nothing coming here, and he was about, I'd say, around about mid-30s when he first came to Australia, early to mid-30s, and he did know German, so his only phrase that he would say to people was "hallo." So not hello, but "hallo," and that got him by for a while. But yeah, no, he's able to pick it up. Yeah, and he's been here for 30 years now, so it's definitely. It's something that you, if you're, I suppose, willing to learn, then like you're able to learn just about anything, really.
Well, definitely. I mean, really well said. I mean, you're a language teacher, so definitely you've got a lot of praise for languages. Is there anything apart from languages you want to do in your life and learn?
Oh, that's such a big question. um, I'm not too sure, I suppose. Like in terms of learning, I'm very much under the philosophy of, being a lifelong learner and just finding whatever it is in life and going with that. I've tried to learn certain things around, throughout my life. Like I've taken up things like roller skating and failed miserably. I bruised my tailbone and was out for like a couple months. But I would definitely like to try that again, And I don't think I feel like if you're inspired to learn something, you should definitely try and pursue that. And if it doesn't work out, that's fine. As long as you gave it a go, and you don't have to be great at it. But I suppose like in terms of learning different things, it's mainly just whatever pops into my head that day, and I'll give it a try. And if I get hurt, because I am very clumsy, I will most likely get hurt. But it's about getting up and just trying again.
Oh, that's so good. I mean, yeah, you're right, because we're always, as long as you're in there, even if you don't learn it, you already experienced it. It's not like, I've been there and I experienced it. Maybe it didn't work out. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah.
Well, what is something that you would say that you know really well, apart from languages again?
Ooh. Something that I know really well.
Well, you know French really well, definitely, because that was your minors, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I know French quite well. I wouldn't say really well at this stage. I think my goal for French actually would be to go and live overseas for a year or so to kind of really immerse myself in the culture, because I feel like that's the best way to learn a language, especially, is to just completely immerse yourself in the culture. But in terms of things that I know really well, I'd say I'm quite an avid cook. I like to cook quite a bit. I bake actually a fair amount as well. I used to bake with one of my friends as like a small business and make cupcakes for people. So I'm quite an avid baker. And it's like in the more sort of geekier side of things, I definitely love Pokemon. So that's probably something that I know a bit too much about. But yeah, it's that sort of
You
thing.
probably have all the cards and everything. You've got collectibles.
I won't bore you with the details, but I've definitely collected a lot of things over the years. The Pokemon cards.
And we name it the stuffed toys and the cards and everything.
Yes.
Probably don't tell me you've got a Pokemon suit as well.
A Pokemon what? Sorry.
A suit.
A suit. Oh, I very much. I think it was my high school years. There was the whole craze of the onesie came out. So yeah, no, definitely. I was perhaps revealing a bit too much about myself, but I definitely have a Pikachu onesie in my closet. So yeah, cannot deny it.
Well, that's good. We all have some sort of liking, and it doesn't really matter what we like, because. This is something that we really find peace in. Is that something you still do, or it's on a side thing at the moment?
It's definitely something that, so in terms of the collection, I do keep, and it's for me as well. I collect, say, the cards for, it's kind of like a little mini art collection for me. So so a little fun fact, actually, for those of you who aren't nearly as into this as I am, each of the cards that are released have a specific artist who draws them, and so I like to go and try and find each of the specific artists' variations over the years, and I've accumulated quite a fair amount of cards under like specific artists. So for me, it's very nostalgic, and also I appreciate the artwork that's gone into and the styles of different artists. So it's like a little art book for me to be able to go through, and I definitely have a bit of joy in trying to find that specific artist's work and collect that for my own. But yeah, it's something that still is in my a part of my life. I think my kids actually, my students, they noticed that I had a little Pokemon phone case and they called me out on it the other day. So it's definitely still something that's within my life. Because as you're right, it just brings a little bit of joy, and it's definitely something that it's carried away all the way through since my childhood. So yeah.
Do you have a number on the cards that you've got?
Ooh, not really. I think it's definitely breached Again, I did. Yeah, it's
1,000?
definitely breached the thousands. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It's a
amazing.
serious collection.
Well, now
So,
you know what, you know how to cook, so probably you can. You know how to make cupcakes, so probably you can
yeah.
make some Pokemon cupcakes
Oh,
for the
100%.
entire staff, and that'd be nice. You know,
Yeah.
it'll be a delight to have a Pokemon cupcake.
More than happy to oblige. Given any excuse to bake some Pokemon treats, by all means, don't tempt me.
All right. Any other thing you would like to that you'd say really well? I mean, I wish I had a Pokemon quiz that I could test you on, but I don't have one.
Yeah.
But
I'd be
any
very
other,
surprised if you did. But in terms of anything I know really quite well, not too sure. I have tried to. So one thing that I have tried to do, growing up, ever since I started working, was I tried to get jobs in fields that I thought were either quite interesting or fun, things like that. Because I always knew, like, I wanted to be a teacher, but again, along the way, I could sample some other sort of fun things to do. So I've kind of accumulated an eclectic resume in terms of places that I've worked at. So other little things that I'll know is I used to be a slide inspector for Wet and Wild Sydney, for example. So there's some other weird things that I know about slides that are very specific to that. Up until about last year, I used to be a Segway tour guide out in Olympic Park. So I know how to maintain and operate a Segway. And I used to be a trivia show host. So I used to go around and do that as well. So I know like little intricate details about each of those industries and fields, but otherwise, that's pretty much what springs to mind, I guess.
well, you know what? That brings us to the surprising facts, and that's all surprising facts what you've just said. That brings me to the last question. I mean, slide inspector. So probably you could inspect the children's slide, the kindergarten slide in the school,
Yes.
and let us know if it's really up to the standards.
Definitely, I can inspect, make sure if there are any cracks in the fiberglass and whatnot. I'll be on it. I'll tell you. Oh, actually, I suppose in terms of surprising as well, one thing that I forgot to mention, I suppose not a lot of people would know, is I used to be a Taekwondo instructor. So from the ages of I think about 7 to 20, 21, 22, somewhere there, I used to study Taekwondo, and I became a teacher in that. That was my very first experience as a teacher. So that's also something that I used to do.
Well, there you go, Mr. Apostoli. You've got some challenge there.
Yeah.
So you better not challenge Maryanne, because I don't know what's really going to happen. I know you do have your black belt, but we've got an instructor over here. So definitely there's some tricks under
Yeah,
her belt.
black belt as well. Let's go. No, I would know. Paul's been absolutely such a guidance to me, and Nicola as well. Yeah, the three of them. So Nicola, Basmo, and Paul have been absolutely fantastic mentors to me throughout my time here at AIA. So I would never challenge Mr. Apostoli. I let that be known.
Well, there's a lot of diversity in your own department. I mean, although Nicola definitely, from an English background, but then you've got the other two coming from different backgrounds as well. I mean, Mr. Apostolou from a Greek background, very, very fluent in the language, and also knows another language really well, which is Japanese. And then Basma as well from another background. I mean, that's where you can definitely test your Arabic out. So anything else you want to surprise us? I mean, you really surprised us today with so many facts.
Yeah, I know. I'm not too sure. I feel like if I reveal anything else about myself, I feel like maybe we'll become a bit overwhelmed.
Well, we live in really difficult times. I mean, and also we're all like a family. So, I mean, what would you like to tell the AIA family? How do you get around your days? And in this time, definitely. And, it's not really welcoming when you're wearing a mask. I tell you what, I'm sick and tired of wearing one. But we all have to go through that. I mean, what advice would you like to give us?
Oh, exactly. I'm on the same boat. I definitely would have to say, and it's something that I'm working on myself, but it's very important that at the moment you really take a moment to, you know, prioritize your mental well-being and your physical well-being. It's just really important to be able to take some time out for yourself, be it just going and sitting in the backyard, going for a walk. And again, I know with the walks at the moment, I'm part of an LGA, so I'm part of Blacktown, so we have to have the masks as well. So sometimes even that in of itself can be, you know, a little tainted, but I think it's still important to just take some time, know that, you know, the day has 24 hours in it, but you don't have to use each of those 24 hours on the same thing. You know, it's important that you eat, that you sleep, that you take care of yourself, because at the end of the day, if you don't, then you're going to fall apart, really. And I think sometimes even amongst it all, like, you can get caught up with things that you have to do and deadlines, but it's really important to be able to take care of yourself as well amongst it all.
Thank you so much. I mean, with that, we come to the last part of the show, which is the best part that I love the most.
I'm so nervous.
And I know you guys love it as well. So I'm actually going to be sharing what we're going to be doing today. There we go. That's your quiz. It's all yours. I'm actually going to put the volume up so that people don't tell me afterwards, oh, sorry, my internet connection wasn't working. Oh, sorry, the volume was too low. And
I need an excuse.
So I don't give any excuses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the microphone. And so it's all yours. And I'll come back and join you once the question's over.
Yeah.
Riddle number 2, a mugging. A man walked into a police station claiming he had just been mugged. The police officer asked him to describe exactly what happened. So the man explained, "I was on my way to the bank, and I had $100,000 in my briefcase. Suddenly, a man wearing black clothes, a black mask, and black gloves jumped me, grabbed my briefcase, and ran away." The police officer noted a fresh cut on the man's face and asked if it were from the attack. The man replied, "Yeah, the mugger was wearing a silver ring on his left hand, and it cut me when he punched me." The police officer immediately knew that the man was lying. How did he figure it out? Time's ticking.
Okay. Can I answer? Okay, so is it because he was wearing gloves and he couldn't see him wearing a ring then? Like, how could have scratched his face if he was wearing gloves?
Well, that looks like a very, interesting answer. And we need to definitely find out if that's the right answer. And it looks like, that you probably got the hang of it. Let's see if that's the right answer.
This one's pretty easy if you paid close attention to the man's story. You probably remembered that the so-called victim said that the attacker was wearing black gloves, right? So even if the ring had cut his face through the glove, how could the man know whether the mugger's ring was made out of gold or silver or any other material? Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Oh, I was so nervous. So yeah.
Oh no, that was so good. Look, it was really amazing to have spoken to you today and to actually known you. I must say, I'm learning so much about other people while I'm speaking to them as well. And one job that you probably need to add to your resume, I would say it's EB Games. And, and where with the amount of experience you have on one of the commodities they sell, you can definitely bring a lot of excitement on the customers, the younger ones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right. Like, if the teaching gig doesn't pan out, it's good to know you have options. But no, I am so happy again, as I said, to be here. And I just wanted to take this last few moments again to thank you for what you're doing. You've learned, and both I've managed to learn, especially coming in new to the school. It's really lovely. Like, these videos are great because I get to learn about all the wonderful people that make up this school. So really, thank you for doing this, and thank you for having me. It's been great.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I wish you all the best, and I definitely will be having a lot more conversation when the school comes back to normality again, or maybe something you can teach me while we're going. I know maybe you can correct my French as well. So there's a word phrase called bonjour. Is that how you say it?
Yes, bonjour.
Or okay, well, completely off the track, but yeah,
No, no.
whatever. Well, it made sense. I mean, is that what does it mean? Hello, or does it mean bye?
It means hello. Yeah. So it's essentially good day. So
Good
yeah,
day.
bon
Okay,
being good and jour being day. So bonjour.
okay. So bonjour. Is
Yeah.
that how you say it?
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Okay.
Beautiful. C'est parfait. It's
All right.
perfect.
Look after yourself. Thank you so
You
much.
too. Okay. Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's a very interesting background there. So
Yeah.
tell me that. Don't tell me that you know both the languages.
Oh no, I would love to tell you that, but it has definitely been something that throughout my life I've kind of it's been a little bit of a black stain on my record. I my mum definitely taught me some Tagalog growing up, and I took to that a lot more. My dad was a little bit more shy in offering up that information, but definitely during this degree, actually, I did seek out to learn Croatian on my own. And whilst I'm by no means fluent in either, I definitely am trying to at least be better at that because
I've got your photo. Everything's good. Let me just make it bigger.
yeah,
I've become very good at editing, as you've probably seen from the first video till the last one that you've seen.
yeah,
I've actually progressed, so I think I can definitely start another career in there.
100%. Honestly, you've already got a following, so
Give me 1 second, please.
no worries.
Sorry, I had a chain of thought going and I completely lost it. This is what happens when you got children.
No,
I'm,
it's so
I'm
sweet.
assuming you're not married, yeah?
No, yeah,
So
no
you don't
kids
you
and no
don't know
marriage yet.
the luxury of having children. I don't know if you want to call it luxury, yeah, but
No, I know. As lovely as yeah they are, I do remember I lived with a roommate at one stage who had a lovely daughter. She was about I think 5 at the time when we were living together, and she's so sweet. It's just yeah, I definitely remember just coming in, and she'd love to play and always talk. So it's always sweet, but I understand sometimes it's a very hard sort of thing to go. I'm sorry, but I'm working or I'm doing this right now. I can't play, and it's just a heartbreaking sort of yeah no, but completely understand.